Newcastle won, Barcelona won. Now, this is one of the very, very few times where I get a team's tactics right in my match preview. It doesn't happen very often. But on this occasion, I'm happy it happened. Remember in the match preview, I said that there are two ways that Newcastle could approach this game. One would be to try to go one versus one with Barcelona in midfield and try to wrestle control of the midfield. They have the midfielders for it. Another option would be to target Barcelona's high line and try to have their wingers make runs from out wide to catch Barcelona's high line with a striker running in the middle. Kudos to Eddie Howe. Somehow he was able to combine these two tactics together. And I think that they deserved a win from this game. They were unlucky not to have walked away with a lead going into the second leg. Let's just look at how Eddie Howe set up his team to deal with Barcelona and take advantage of that high line. First was off the ball. Now, off the ball, during Barcelona's usual build-up, what you had Newcastle do simply was to go one versus one with those Barcelona steering midfielders. You had Jacob Ramsey on Pedri, and then if I take this further a little bit, on the other hand again, you had Sandro Tonali keeping an eye on Fermin Lopez. This was the approach off the ball. What that meant is that the entire midfield, like I mentioned before, these Newcastle midfielders are up for a battle, a one versus one battle. They are very, very good at it. So it meant that Barcelona midfield trio, they could keep them quiet all through the game. There was nothing flowing in that midfield for Barcelona. They completely disrupted it. Look at another example. This is Barcelona's build-up again. And then you can clearly see the same structure again. Joelinton on Bernal, then you had Jacob Ramsey going for Pedri, and then if you just look at the edge of your screen here, Tonali is on, I think, Fermin Lopez here again. So what that does now is that the entire central progression for Barcelona is completely cut off. Barcelona in this game had two choices to progress the ball. They could either go out wide through the wing or play long passes up front to try to find either Rafinha or, as in this case, try to find Lewandowski to hold up the ball. But I think Dan Bond did an excellent job on Lewandowski. Lewandowski was going nowhere in this game. And even on the other side, the battle that I was worried about, the Lamine Yamal and Luis Hall, I think Luis Hall, with Joelinton dropping in to help him sometimes, they did an excellent job on Lamine Yamal. Yamal was not in the game for most of it. They completely dealt with his threats. Newcastle had this game under control of the ball. Barcelona were not creating very much. But again, on the ball as well, the tactics was simple. It was to try to target that Barcelona's high line. And I think, of course, it's a known weakness of Barcelona, and it was well targeted. Let us just run through some examples. This is one example. Newcastle are trying to get out of their own half in a build-up. And then, as usual, Barcelona are keeping a very, very high line. In fact, their defenders are almost at the center circle. At the same time, they are not maintaining any aggressive pressure on the ball. What this means is that once Luis Hall takes a first touch here, he's able to find Javi Barnes behind Barcelona's defense. He's not offside, by the way. This run was well timed. I know that the referee eventually put his flag up for offside, but if this had gone in, VAR would have given this goal. And again, it just allows Javi Barnes to control the ball. And that pass wasn't a particularly good pass. It could have been hit better. But Javi Barnes was able to get behind that Barcelona defense, cut inside and had a shot that was blocked. Look at another example. This time is on the other side of the pitch where they are trying to build up again. And then, as usual, once Newcastle were able to circulate this ball backwards, what is happening again is that Barcelona have raised their defensive line again without putting any pressure on the ball. What that means is that Newcastle are able to receive the ball in a lot of space. And look at how many players are lined up in that Barcelona's defensive line, waiting to just run behind. And of course, Elanga makes the run on this occasion. The ball is played through to him, and then Elanga is through on goal. Well, it's Elanga. His finishing was quite poor. But look at him make another run again. It's the same sort of scenario where Barcelona have raised their defensive line, and at the same time, they're not putting any pressure on the ball, which means on this occasion, Newcastle once again are able to have a man receive the ball with a lot of space and then have one player behind running. This time, it's Elanga again, out wide on the wings, and then the ball is played forwards to him first time. And then Elanga is one versus one with his fullback. I think that was a brilliant cross on this occasion, but it wasn't converted. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on in this game. There were a lot. But the problem consistently in this game that I think Newcastle had was Anthony Elanga, and even to some extent Javi Barnes. They are very fast players. Elanga especially, he is very quick on his feet. He's got pace and power. He can outrun his man. The problem is his final ball. Whether it's a cross or a shot on goal, the final ball, the end product, the output is always bad. And I think that was where Newcastle particularly suffered in this game. That is why they didn't get a lot of goals. I think this game would have gone differently for Newcastle had Jacob Murphy and Anthony Gordon be fully fit for this game and started this game. It would have gone very differently for Barcelona. Watching the second half, when both Murphy and Anthony Gordon got on the pitch, it was then that Barcelona completely were taken out of the game and Newcastle pressed till they got that goal. So I think it would have been a better result if they had started. So yes, the game would have been much more different if Anthony Gordon and Jacob Murphy had started this game. But in all, I still think it was an excellent performance from Newcastle. They did deserve a win, but unfortunately, football happens. There is still a whole second leg to play. It's in Camp Nou. I think Barcelona would not change their approach with the high line and everything. So on this occasion, I think Newcastle still has a chance to pull off a surprise in this tie. I'm still waiting. As usual, after 90 minutes, we will still be here to do the analysis. So if you enjoy content like this, please hit the like button, hit the follow button, support the channel by hitting the share button, and at least drop a comment in this game against Newcastle. For Barca, Fermin Lopez and Lamine Yamal, they're on yellow cards coming into this game and would have missed the second leg if they had gotten another booking in this game. And I think that the referee fails to book two of them, even where there were clear and obvious reasons to book them. Let me show you the two incidents. This one, first one is Fermin Lopez's own foul. Have a look. Of course, Luis Hall has left Fermin Lopez for dead already on this occasion. And then what does he do? He wraps his arm around him and pulls him to the ground. Anybody who watches, we're all football fans, anybody who watches football knows that that is a classic yellow card. There's no debating it. There is no question about it. That is a yellow card. The referee did not give a yellow card. This was 11 minutes into the game. The referee did not give a yellow card. He let this one go. Fermin Lopez would have gotten a yellow card and been out of the second leg. Look at Yamal's own as well. Of course, it's the same Luis Hall. Hall has completely beaten Yamal. If you look at it from this angle, Hall has taken the ball away from Yamal. Yamal was never actually going to get that ball. That ball had passed him already. What he did was to just come straight for the defender to take him out. That is a yellow card. Anywhere in football you watch that, an opponent who has beaten you completely, you had no chance of getting that ball. Instead of allowing him to go or chasing the ball, you went to completely take out Luis Hall. And mind you, he did it to stop a promising attack, because once Hall got out of there was, I think, have a bounce in front of him making a run for that Barcelona high line already. So Lamine Yamal knew exactly what he was doing there. He did it to prevent a promising attack. That is a yellow card. But the referee did not book him, which means he's going to play in the second leg. I understand what Mourinho said, and I understand why Combo feels the way he feels. But the point I'm trying to make is this. This is just part of the normal politics of football. It doesn't favor one team more than the other. If you're a big team, big teams and big players, referees do things like this for them. Personally, I want to see Yamal and Fermin Lopez in the second leg. It will not be worth watching if Lamine Yamal is not there. So I'm happy that he did not even get the yellow card, because I want to see him in the second leg. It is good for my analysis to be able to watch him in the second leg, because he's a player that can affect the game. But if we remove the sentimental cap and put it aside, and let us just be objective and factual, those two players, Fermin and Yamal, should not be playing in the second leg. They should have gotten yellow cards in this game. But again, the point is this. It's all part of the politics of the game that we love. That is just how it is. It's not exclusive to Madrid. It's not exclusive to Barcelona. It happens everywhere. They share the love. If you are a big team, sometimes referee let things go. That is just what happens. That is what happened in this game. I mean, it is subject to everybody's opinion. This is my opinion. If you disagree with me, I'm in the comment section. Come, let us have the conversation. Should those two players, based on these two tackles that you saw just now, were those yellow cards? And if they are yellow cards, should those two players be playing in the second leg? Let's have the conversation.